Yo, what's cracking everyone? Ericship 111 here. So when it comes to Forza Horizon 5 or even Forza Horizon in general, what's made this series incredibly unique is that with each installment, the game visits a different country in real life that really no other racing game has ever done. But what makes this series even more special is that with each Horizon installment, Playground Games would also include some of the country's most unique and popular local cars. Obviously, with Horizon 1 and Horizon 2 being set in countries which are homes to some of the most renowned automotive manufacturers in the world, this was kind of difficult to see. However, when Forza Horizon 3 released, throughout the game's life, Playground Games introduced some of the coolest cars from down under that were not only brand new to the Forza series at the time, but also cars that I'm sure many Horizon players around the world finally got a chance to experience, and perhaps some didn't even know that they had existed. Then of course, with Forza Horizon 4 being set in the UK, the home of where Playground Games is based, it's no surprise that we saw a whole bunch of new and exciting unique cars from the United Kingdom featured. And this pretty much became the norm at this point, that wherever Playground Games visits next with their succeeding title, they would do their best to try to honour and respect the local car culture. Then came Forza Horizon 5. Obviously, we know that it is set in Mexico, but this time, Playground Games was faced with a slight obstacle, because you see, unlike the previous 4 locations, the way in which Playground Games would pay respects to the local car culture was done by introducing car manufacturers and their cars that were incredibly popular from the country in which the game was set. However, with Mexico, although they do have a handful of locally branded car manufacturers, Playground Games decided not to feature them for whatever reason. Maybe the cars just weren't exciting or popular enough worldwide for them to be aligned with the Forza Horizon series. I don't know, but instead the developers decided to focus more on celebrating the local car culture by featuring cars that were not necessarily badged from Mexico, but were built and assembled, and more importantly, incredibly popular in Mexico. Sadly, when Horizon 5 launched, this kind of fell a little short. There were only a couple of things where the cars featured in Horizon 5 would resemble anything that would relate to where the game was set. The first was of course including the lightweight Mexican sports car, the Vol 05RR, in the car list, and the other was featuring what was once the most popular and best selling car in Mexico, the Volkswagen Beetle or Vocho, along with the unique Horizon story. And that was pretty much it, until very recently in update 26, almost 2 years after the game had launched, Playground Games would surprise us all by introducing not just the new to Forza car, but much like the Volkswagen Beetle, was another best-selling car in Mexico, and that was the Nissan Tsuru. In fact, this car was so popular that from 1992 all the way through to 2017, barely any changes were made. The only reason why the Nissan factory in Mexico had to stop producing the Tsuru was because it was no longer deemed safe to be driven on the road, receiving a crash rating of precisely 0. The Nissan Tsuru was also very popular amongst the Horizon community too, as prior to Horizon 5's launch, a petition was made collecting over 30,000 signatures to urgently include this car in the game, as well as being the highest voted car that the community wanted by a landslide through Forza's official suggestion hub. And speaking of suggestion hubs, just a few days ago, over on Forza Horizon's official Spanish Twitter account, they tweeted out something rather interesting. Now, of course, I don't speak any Spanish, but when translated to English, it reads, "We did it with the Tsuru, could it be that? Question mark." And the car that they were referring to is this, the 1994 to 2012 Chevrolet Chevy. There's also a screenshot below showing that the car only has 2 votes over on the Forza official suggestion hub, and underneath the original tweet, another link was added which directs you to another suggestion hub, but it's for the 1993 to 2000 Opel or Vauxhall Corsa B, which is of course the European variant. Now, before I get into my thoughts on all of this, for those who don't know, much like the Nissan Tsuru, the Chevrolet Chevy was also an incredibly popular car in Mexico. For several years throughout the early 2000s, this Chevy C2 was always neck and neck in sales with the Nissan Tsuru, but ultimately fell just a little short over the long run. However, within the Mexican car culture, this car is still greatly beloved by all, and much like the Nissan Tsuru, would absolutely make a great addition to the Forza Horizon 5 car list, as not only will there be yet another car which directly celebrates where Horizon 5 is set, but it also adds another everyday car, which is something the community wants to see more of. Honestly, I would love to see this car featured. Here in Australia, I remember as a kid, these were badged as the Holden Barina, and I would see them everywhere. It has even burnt a lasting impression in my head because they came out with some of the most outrageous colors like turquoise or even dark purple. What I also wonder is, was this tweet a direct tease for the Chevrolet Chevy to be introduced sometime in a near future update? Because I can't see Forza Horizon teasing something like this, especially to their own Mexican and Spanish speaking community, to ultimately not introduce it at all. I mean, it would be such a disappointing outcome, and furthermore, if we actually head over to the suggestion hub for this Chevy, it now has accumulated well over 1,000 votes already in the span of just 2 to 3 days. Now, I know this speculation may be a little bit far-fetched, but given how positive the Horizon community responded with the introduction of the Nissan Tsuru, I think Playground Games went ahead immediately and asked themselves, what's another great popular everyday Mexican car they could add, and ultimately they decided the Chevy would be the next best choice. Now, whether they actually go to Mexico and source a Chevy directly to scan and model, as opposed to getting a local Corsa B somewhere in the UK and then changing some of the differences between the variants, I'm not sure, but I do have a strange feeling that the car model itself is either in the works or could very well be almost complete. And now the final step is to almost tease the community with a tweet like this. Also, for those living in Mexico, which version of the Chevy C2 was the most popular? Was it the hatchback or the sedan? Let us know down in the comment section below. And also for everyone else watching, would you like to see this car featured in Horizon 5? And do you like the fact that everyday cars are now also being considered in the Forza Horizon series? Share us your thoughts as I do read all of your comments, guys. But anyways, if you guys did enjoy today's video, please make sure to smash the thumbs up button as it really does help me out. And of course, if you guys would like to stay up to date with everything Forza Horizon 5 and Forza Motorsport related, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.